Chris Markowski is joining me once again. He is the host of Watchdog on Wall Street, and today we're going to be discussing the monthly jobs report, as we always do. Chris, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Now, in May, we saw 559,000 jobs added, that unemployment rate dropping to 5.8%. Let's start by just breaking down these numbers. Better or worse than what we were expecting, and what do you make of them?
Well, based upon the consensus, it's much, much worse than what everybody was expecting, which is just a carryover from last month. We talked about this last month, and there's a myriad of reasons behind this. And I think first and foremost is the fact that people, quite honestly, can stay home, and they got extended unemployment. There was an interesting interview this morning with the CEO of Manpower, and saying that many workers, and I'm paraphrasing, many workers are acting like consumers as far as consuming jobs are concerned. They're very, very picky. I have no problem with tight labor markets. I take the opposite approach as the people at the Fed and economists, that somehow it's bad that wages are going up. I think that's fantastic. But when you pay people to stay home, that's not a good thing. And until that changes, which it is, 24 states over the next month and a half are going to be getting rid of that extended unemployment. Hopefully these numbers will improve.
Yes, I actually wanted to bring that up and sort of wanted to get your predictions for, what we might see this move by these 24 states or 25 states to, cut that unemployment benefit. What do you think we're going to see? Do you think we're going to see more people in the workforce, or do you think it's going to have the opposite effect?
Oh, I think after getting this done, I think you're going to have to, by truth, people are going to get off unemployment. They're going to have to say, all right, I'm going to have to get back to work. So yeah, I think that will improve. I mean, the labor participation rate is not good. It really isn't. We need to get people back to work. Every single store that I go by, help wanted, help wanted, help wanted. It's extraordinary. It really is. And we're still about 8 million jobs behind the proverbial COVID 8 ball that we've been dealing with. I mean, to get back to where we were pre-COVID, again, about 8 million jobs to go.
Along the same lines, I just want to read this little snippet from this article and get your thoughts on it. It reads that in April, the National Federation of Independent Business reported that 44% of American job openings went unfulfilled. Meanwhile, 16.2 million Americans are receiving unemployment benefits, a number that is 6.5 million greater than the 9.8 million Americans who are actually termed unemployed. And that's, people who are actually seeking work while between jobs. So what do you think is contributing to these numbers? I mean, it just points out that it's 6.5 million greater than people who are actually, deemed unemployed.
Yeah, that's, again, part of the issue is getting people back to work. Again, if you are paying people a certain amount of money, and even if they could go back to work and make more, but the trade-off is, you know what, it's close enough. I can, stay home for a period of time. They're going to do that, and that's what's taking place right now. Small businesses are really taking it on the chin. And again, I know it's anecdotal, and I know that's unfortunately how a lot of news outlets and newspapers right now, where they find random people. My anecdote's a little bit different. Is that I got small business clients in 50 states, and they're all saying the exact same thing. It's a big country, and many places are very, very different from one another. And we talk about this in terms of real estate and trying to nationalize the real estate market. You can't do that. But when you have businesses and people that I speak to, clients of mine in 50 states, all saying the same thing, it's the same terrain for them. It's not a good place that we're in right now when it comes to getting people back to work.
Something that was also brought up, and I don't know really how much this has to do with it. I mean, I know we're talking about the unemployment benefits and basically, the government just handing out money for people to essentially stay home and not seek jobs. But, President Biden has had this goal of getting at least 70% of American adults vaccinated by July 4th. How much do you think that will play? Do you think it's really this fear of COVID, or, does that play into it, or is it solely based on the fact that the government is just handing out money?
Well, I do think that some people are afraid of COVID. I'm still shocked, to see the amount of people walking around with masks on, and I don't really seem to understand it. The vaccine is readily available. If it scares you that much, why won't you get it? And if you have gotten it, why are you still wearing a mask? again, I'm going to be looking into the psyche of the human mind and how it works with some of these things. But I am concerned as well. Again, showing my age, and I don't want to sound like too much like an old man here, but I do think that this is going to be the next. Phobia to some degree. COVID phobia. I can't go back to work, and I'm afraid that it's going to lead to some new type of disability, and they'll call it some sort of psychological condition. I'm sorry, I'm too afraid of COVID, been affected by it. I can't go back to work, and these people will be able to apply for disability. I see that coming soon to a theater near all of us.
Well, it'll certainly be interesting, especially between now and when these states are starting to, cut those federal unemployment benefits. Of course, next month we'll have to see, what happens with the job support then. I know you're in New York, and I'm actually going to the city next week, so I am very interested to see what that is all going to be. I know we've talked about that before, of how it's kind of a ghost town, but now that it's starting to reopen, I'm very interested to see, what it's going to be.
Are you familiar with the city? Are you from
Yeah,
New
so
York?
my
Okay.
dad's actually from the
Okay.
city, and I'm gonna be with family, so I won't be
Okay.
completely alone. But
Oh, good, because you don't want to be. It's that bad. I mean, it really is. And again, New York City is near and dear to my heart. I'm from upstate New York, but since I was a kid, I absolutely loved the place. When you're looking at areas like Soho and the West Village that look like no-go zones at this point in time, it's ugly. It really is, and it's really not being covered. It's just the media is kind of completely ignored. Outside the New York Post that does consistent articles. And it's bad. I mean, subway lines that I used to ride on a regular basis when I was a kid and I was living in the city, first starting my working career. I mean, they're not safe anymore, and it's a really, really sad thing. And it's almost like getting a punch in the gut to some degree to see what happened to this place.
yeah, well, I haven't been there since, I think, Christmas of 2019, right before the pandemic. So we'll have to see what it looks like, and I'll keep you posted. And of course, looking forward to speaking with you for next month's jobs report. And as always, Chris Markowski, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.